Hola， 各位企业先进们，大家早安，大家好，欢迎大家参加外贸协会台湾经贸网所举办的拉美跨境电商说明会暨洽谈会。今天我们邀请来自拉丁美洲3国共4位讲师，包含巴拉圭电商公会CAPACE、巴西大型电商代营运Nova Trade、巴西电商达人Minchillo及秘鲁本土第一大电商平台Falabella，远距分享当地电商趋势、市场概况、平台及其服务资源。说明会结束后，将由电商代表及业者与我商进行1对1视讯洽谈及咨询。在活动开始前，让我们先欢迎本次活动的主办单位经济部国际贸易局姜文若局长来为我们致辞。我们欢迎姜局长。
大家早，很高兴代表经济部国际贸易局，欢迎大家一同参与探索拉美跨境电商的说明会，让我们来一起了解拉丁美洲跨境电商市场的现况以及未来它的发展趋势。那么我们知道，全球经历了3年的疫情的冲击，数位贸易已经成为近年来企业推广产品以及对外交流的一个非常主要的商业模式。国际贸易局为了帮助我们的业者争取数位时代的全球商机，积极的透过各种辅导的计划，而且呢，我们也跟很多的工协会一起合作，提升业者的数位行销能力，让厂商能够运用最新的数位行销科技来拓展海外的市场，争取更多的商机。今天活动所要探讨的主题，跨境电商就是业者数位转型的一个非常重要的捷径。大家可能对拉丁美洲的电商环境比较陌生，实际上拉美电商市场已经成为跨境电商的一个蓝海的市场。拉丁美洲大约有超过5亿个网络的使用者，其中约有3亿多人会上网购物，预计到2027年会再增加7000多万人会去上网买东西。去年拉美网络零售销售额达到1680亿美元，成长了2成，成长的幅度也是排名全球第2，仅次于东南亚地区。近年来，拉美地区各大电商平台也不断在加紧他们的脚步，分别在巴西、墨西哥、阿根廷还有智利等国投资大型的发货以及物流中心。拉美最大的电商平台，也就是每个月有超过6亿浏览量的 Mercado Libre， 已经分别在墨西哥跟巴西投资建设物流的基础设施，就是看准了拉美各国电商消费将持续的扩张。特别是巴西这几年来5G 网络非常的普及，手机的用户也增加很多，所以电商的消费增长程度最高，商机也潜力呢非常的无穷。那贸易局为了协助业者拓销中南美洲市场，我们也会积极的跟当地的大型电商平台合作，例如我刚刚提到的拉美最大的 B2C 电商 Mercado Libre， 还有像巴西的第2大的电商平台 Lojas Americanas 等，来协助我们业者运用跨境电商抢占当地的数位贸易商机。那么我再次的呢，非常感谢各位企业先进们今天热情的参与，我也预祝今天的活动圆满成功，大家平安健康，万事如意。谢谢。
谢谢国际贸易局姜文若局长。接着，让我们欢迎外贸协会王希蒙秘书长 Simon 为我们说几句话。我们欢迎 Simon。
线上的各位朋友、各位伙伴，大家好，我是外贸协会秘书长王希蒙。那今天非常荣幸，有这个机会代表外贸协会在这边欢迎大家一起来参与今天的探索拉美跨境电商的一个说明会。我们晓得这个疫情3年哈，然后再加上 1年多的这个俄乌战争，然后还有多年的美国的 QE 的货币政策，那么升息啦、压抑通膨这些措施，其实让整个全世界的经济变成一个很不确定，然后呢是一个前景非常混沌的一个现象哈。那这个也影响我们厂商的这个出口。那从去年下半年开始，这样的一个下跌的这个趋势啊，就一直存在哈。那今年我们的 Q1 就第一季的出口也负成长了19.2%。那在这样的情况之下，我们厂商要怎么办呢？哈，怎么样能够改善这样的情况呢？那我们如果从一个行销、国际行销，从一个出口的推广这个角度，有2条路可以走哈。第一条路就是我们希望能够多找一些新的市场，那这个新的市场呢，因为进入的人比较少，所以竞争就比较不那么激烈啊，这是一个。另外一个就是说，这些新兴市场呢，多半他们是比较经济体相对来说哈，跟这些成熟经济体来说，相对来说是比较小的。那比较小，他们的成长的力道哈幅度呢就比较容易快哈，所以这是一条路，就是找新的市场。那第2条路呢，就是要开拓新的这个贸易的模式哈。那大家晓得说，这个疫情之后，这个等于说我们面对一场新的通路革命哈。这通路革命就是，如果我们在用传统的行销的原则、行销的模式去拓展的话呢，那可能我们已经没有办法去面对这样一个新的竞争的环境啊。那所以呢，在过去我们传统上强调说，我们在行销要强调我们的产品的利益，对这个使用者的利益或者功能，如果我们只是这样的话，也是很容易被这个世界淘汰了哈。因为现在新的拓展的模式需要强调的是更多的客制化，更多的客户的体验哈，所以新的拓展模式也是很重要的。那今天我们在谈说今天的这个主题哈，事实上就是符合新市场跟新的拓展的模式。新市场，那我们今天呢，希望能够跟大家推荐包括巴拉圭、巴西、那么秘鲁、墨西哥等等哈，这些比较新兴的市场。那新的拓展模式啊，就是我们是谈跨境电商哈，因为跨境电商，那么这样的一个模式啊，我们也邀请到了巴拉圭的电商公会的代表，那么也有呢像巴西代营运商哈，电商代营运商的代表，那么还有这个秘鲁的电商平台，那么以及墨西哥的食品的进口业者哈。那这个跨境电商呢，它因为是在线上来进行，所以呢，它就会产生数据。那这些数据呢，就会对我们的这个对于消费者或者是我们的客户的了解，会有进一步的这个深度的洞察。那这些洞察呢，就可以回馈给我们看怎么样去修正行销的策略。那这就是我们讲的说要去用新的拓展的模式哈。那欢迎大家都来参与这样的一个说明会，那一起来探讨。那除了这个今天这样说明会以外呢，我另外打一个广告啊，就是我们台湾经贸网哈，那么在配合政府的疫后契机啊，也推出了新的服务，新的运用智慧科技的服务，像这个比如说智慧 AI 的销售员哈，还有智慧的直播，还有自动化的这个投放广告，这些服务啊，你们也都非常非常希望大家一起来使用哈，让我们的这个等于是拓展模式能够朝新的方向去发展，而且呢会越用越顺啊，然后才能够面对新的时代。那以上呢就是我跟大家的报告，那祝福大家身体健康，万事如意，心想事成，谢谢大家。
谢谢秘书长 Simon。紧接着，让我们马上进入今天的拉美跨境电商说明会。首先为大家介绍的是巴拉圭电商公会CAPACE。根据世界银行2023年1月的世界经济展望报告指出，巴拉圭今年的 GDP 将成长5.2%，也是南美洲经济成长最快的国家之一。 而巴拉圭的电商市场规模也从2019年的3亿美元成长至2022年的9.67亿美元，是现今不容忽视的电商新蓝海市场。巴拉圭电商公会CAPACE成立于2013年，目前由超过130家电商相关企业会员所组成。该公会成立的目的在于促进巴拉圭电商在各产业领域，如教育、通讯、创新及金融科技等发展，加强消费者对电商之认识还有运用。现在就让我们欢迎巴拉圭电商公会的主席 Mr. Gustavo Jimenez 为我们带来探索巴拉圭跨境电商市场发展与趋势。欢迎 Mr. Gustavo Jimenez。
Well, thank you very much. I'm Gustavo Jimenez, the president of the Paraguayan Chamber of E-commerce. I am very, very thankful with all the Taiwan people and primarily with their embassy for this invitation to share with you some information about Paraguay, the e-commerce market here, and some opportunities we think you may have here in our country. So let me start my presentation, and I will share with you this information, primarily about this annual report we made every year with an international consulting firm here in Paraguay. A lot of this information are in the last e-commerce report of the Inter-American Development Bank about Paraguay, so you can get it in the internet. And I will share you also this information with you. With this study that we made, primarily I can tell you about the information we have in our market. We are every year growing with 2 digits, primarily in our e-commerce market. This information is only about the credit card use for e-commerce in Paraguay. And why I need to make this appreciation for you, because only almost 30% of our people have a bank account here in Paraguay. So imagine the quantity of credit cards and debit cards that are in our market is very, very limited. So with this information, primarily you can see in 2019, we almost in all the country, with all the credit and debit cards, we move $3 million in our market for shopping in e-commerce, 82% internationally and local 18%. And I will go directly to 2022 and look at this. We grow from $300 million to a little bit less than $1 billion. With in the pandemic time, we grew almost 35% between 2021 to 2022. So, but another information very relevant is we share today almost 30% of the market with local e-commerce companies. So the Paraguayan people today is buying primarily cross-border e-commerce, but we are buying from United States like Amazon, eBay, Alibaba, and other e-commerce, traditional e-commerce sites and marketplace primarily from abroad, and bring those purchases directly to Paraguay. So we have some works right now with the Ministry of Industry and Commerce to try to export more goods from Paraguay using e-commerce. But here you can see how is the market. I need to repeat that this is 100% with credit card and debit card. What we move in the local market using cash money, we think is the same amount, but in the local market, outside the bank account. So from January to December 2022, we measure 440,000 people, users, different unique users who purchases in online using their credit card and debit card. We have this information because the principal e-commerce processor or card processor here in Paraguay is Bancard. So Bancard is part of the CAPACE, the Paraguayan Chamber of E-Commerce, and they share us this information every year. So this is very interesting because 70% of the people is the same than in the period of 2021. So we have 30% new people right now purchasing directly with e-commerce or through e-commerce in Paraguay. We are talking about here in thousands, but in Guarani, this please, this is not dollars, US dollars. This is our currency, the Guarani. And if you can see, comparing the 2022 to 2022, we grow 58%. This is very interesting for our market because we see with this information the trust that the people have right now with the e-commerce market and primarily with the local sites. In transaction, in the amount of transactions, you can see 91%. We have a lot more transaction from 2021 to 2022. So the people are using the system. They are getting more confidence with the e-commerce market. So we think this is very, very interesting because we can see the growth of the familiarity that the users in Paraguay have. But if we try to compare the local versus international purchases, here you can see primarily 79, 80%, 80 to 20 in 2021 through 2022. And if you can see here in 2022, 78% from abroad and 28% local. So we are growing the local market. We are growing a little bit more, but primarily, as I said to you, the people are purchasing goods from abroad and getting those goods to Paraguay. In transactions here, you can see also we have a little bit less growth in transactions if you compare the international through local. And here you can see the high amount of local purchases or transactions in local purchases here in Paraguay. This is very interesting because if I can give you some numbers, 98% of the local companies established in Paraguay are SMBs, small business companies. So if we compare the total of these companies that have established and operating now in Paraguay, less than 1% have an e-commerce site right now to sell goods or sell services through internet. So we have a lot more to growth. But if we compare the 90% of the all purchases made in Paraguay, we can see here where the money is going. Primarily 58% of these 90% of the purchases go to marketplace, local marketplace. This is interesting because the local marketplaces in Paraguay, I don't remember, I think in 3 or 4 years before, they never were here in the first place. They are in the 5th or 7th place in our information, but they go directly to the first place. That is a good signal because we see here the confidence and the truth. These sites established with their operations for our customers here in Paraguay. Payment facilitators, Bancard, as I said, is the #1 credit card processor, but in Paraguay, some integrators, payment facilitators, are establishing operations to attend just the market of SMBs or other companies that doesn't have the technical structure to have this direct connection to this payment facility, to this primarily payment facilitator processor like Bancard. So 9% of the purchases came from this payment facilitator. That is very interesting. I'm sorry. In this 78% marketplace, we have also the big apps. We are primarily two operating here in Paraguay. Pedidos Ya is an international company, and we have some local company very interesting. The second place here is Monchis. So this part of this 58% came from those big apps here in Paraguay. Telecommunications, 80%. All the pharmacy and perfume primarily, 6%. Cosmetics, entertainment, events primarily 3%. Gym 3%. Stores, retail 2%, and theater entertainment 2%. So this is part of the 9% of our purchase e-commerce in Paraguay. So the growth in the last year, marketplace growth more than 100%. That is very interesting. As I said, the payment facilitator growth 42%. This means that more companies are using these facilitators to get in the digital market. And here, very interesting. Look at this: more than 600% the entertainment. The people are preferring to purchase their tickets directly online. Is very interesting. The gym doesn't exist in our measures in the last years. For gym, the gym subscriptions growth 134% online. That is very interesting. So 74% of the Paraguayans that we have in our study with CCR is the name of the international consultancy company. 74% of the people answer that they have made some online purchases in the last year. More than half of the population is online shopping right now. And this is some areas that we think we have some opportunities. Look at this: fashion is 32%. This is part of the MBO information that they share with us. Beauty, personal care, electronic toys. These are the opportunities that we have, and we think it's the same. This is part of the Mexican information, but we think it's for our information about our associates in the chamber. We think these are very similar here, opportunities here in Paraguay. But look at this. As I said, we don't have a lot of people with bank account here in Paraguay, and this is if we see this it could be difficult to go into our market, but we try to see this as an opportunity. So we think with the fintech companies established in Paraguay in the last year, the banks and the financial institutions are working to be more simple to give the bank accounts or the gift accounts to the people here in Paraguay. But we have a lot of space to grow in this area. As I said, the small business, small medium business, SMBs in Paraguay doesn't sell online. Less than 1% are selling right now online. So we think the marketplaces and the online store for these SMBs is a big opportunity, and we think it could be before and after for these companies if they use the digital market and technology to sell online, because they can be more competitive, because they can get more market with less investment. And of course, if we think about an abroad market as Brazil, Argentina, here in the border of Paraguay, we have a big opportunity there. So we think we need to create more sales channels for these SMBs, small, medium business. So with these as micro, small, and medium enterprises here in Paraguay. So this is a big opportunity and a big necessity to work with. About the people, what say these people, primarily SMBs, about what are the barriers to sell online? Well, primarily the lack of knowledge about online sales is a big problem. We need more information. We need more courses, online courses. We don't have trained personnel for e-commerce. 37% they said us they don't have people who know how to sell online or know how to use the right technology to sell online. They don't have dedicated e-commerce teams in their companies, no capital. This is a big problem and a big opportunity too, because the local banks and the local financial institutions doesn't have a vision to promote these companies and to use the technology to help them to grow, to get more clients, to sell more, and be part of this digital transformation or digital revolution that we have in Latin America and the whole world. We don't have some strategic alliance to develop online sales, but when we said about when we talk about that, this issue is primarily international allies, because locally we have support from the government. We have some support about from local big companies, but we think we need the international expertise. How do you, primarily because you are big companies, how do you solve these problems in your markets? So I think we need to more strategic allies, and Taiwan and the companies could be very, very interesting. Today, some logistic costs primarily are high. Right now are high in Paraguay because of the market, because remember, we are a 8 million people market, but right in 2 hours from Paraguay, you can access a big market for 300 million people in Brazil. So if we can get more players for logistics and we can get more businesses, I think this could be an opportunity and not a problem. Also, the electronic fraud is part of the afraid of everybody. I think not only in Paraguay. So this is another issue. So some barriers, but some motivations that they have, or primarily the people who buy have in Paraguay, is the price. 72% think the price online is less than the brick and mortar company or store. They think the product catalog online is more easier. They have more information. Novelties too. The product quality could be, but the shipping cost is some motivations, because if you think about some, I don't know, capitals from some states, if not near from the capital, they don't have access to brands or kind of products that we in the capital can access very, very easier. So the shipping costs give them some very interesting tool or online sell, give a tool to have access to these kind of products. Some barriers, well, the delivery cost, delivery time, some fears on not receiving pay taxes. Remember, we have more than 46% of our economy is not as how I say is underground economy. So return process 22%. So some motivations. I think that I always want to be more positive, and I see more motivations and opportunities here than the barriers. So some consumer risk, primarily for cross-border online shopping. we need to reduce some consumer protections, uncertainty about delivery, poor product quality, and post-sales problem solving. Right now, we are working with this last one with the Ministry of Industry and Commerce. Tomorrow, we are launching the Exporta Fácil simple export system with them. So we are trying to give the consumer more solutions to have quick delivery and a more cost-effective solution for their interest in purchasing online products from Paraguay. So these are market information. I want to talk right now in the last minutes about CAPACE, the Paraguayan Chamber, and what we made in the last years. We have the principal focus on disseminate the e-commerce in the whole country, provide all the information and interaction between the people, the individuals, and the companies to make or develop e-commerce for their companies, and primarily to work with the government and other big companies to offer training, offer help, offer the legal issues we need to put in Paraguay in this time to be part of the international market. So we can do that. We are doing that. And we have an e-commerce law here. We have a protection of data working right now with the Congress. We are part of the Mercosur market, and we have an agreement with all the countries, Brazil, Argentina, Paraguay, and Uruguay, to make e-commerce through the Mercosur with simple processes. So I think we have all the ingredients to be more effective in e-commerce in the next years. We started in 2011, and these are some highlights that we have in the last years. We started the first Cyber Day in Paraguay in 2016, the first hot sale e-commerce online primarily in 2021. In the last year, 2022, we changed all our corporate identity to be more clear, be more. We wanted to be near from the people primarily and the companies in Paraguay to get more information from them and give more information to them. We started our head office. Imagine 10 years, 11 years. This year, we are working with other chambers, the SMBs, Small Medium Business Federation in Paraguay, and other chambers with a TV program and online content about e-commerce. We will promote the digital economy and financial education primarily to help the people learn about e-commerce, about the digital market, about how to pay online. You transform their money in digital money, and more issues about that. And this year also we are working with the government, with the Information Technology Ministry and other international cooperators like Inter-American Development Bank, USAID, Taiwan, and others to develop more projects to go ahead with this objective that I said to you. So to know more about it, our verticals, primarily the development of the consumer ecosystem, as I said, through e-commerce promotion events, the development of business ecosystem, primarily using training events with suppliers presentation and events and information about the digital market we are working with. And with the Federation of Small and Medium Enterprises, FEDEMIPYME, we are working in three areas: formalization, financing, and market access, using this digital technology. And as I said, the technical and financial cooperation is very, very important to us. And we are working with many institutions right now to access for specific projects to help these objectives that I said in these main verticals. 130 people or companies are members right now of the CAPACE. We grew from 13 in 2007 to more than 130 today. So we are very, very, very pleased with the companies in Paraguay and the confidence that they having with our team, CAPACE team, as I said. Well, just to know more numbers about our sales, in the last Cyber Day in 2022, 67 companies, CAPACE members primarily, participate of this online event, and we sell $2.5 million in 3 days through these 67 players. These are our calendar, 2023 calendar. The e-commerce day, the most important event about e-commerce in Paraguay, more than 700 people in room the last year. We will have this event on May 31 to June 2. The hot sale is our online event from July 3 to 5. The supplier expo in September, the Cyber Day, annual Cyber Day that we made in November, and every Wednesday we have CAPACE Talks. It's a conference we have with some experts about some issues like Google, Meta, cybersecurity, payment facilitators, etc. We have this calendar for this year, and we expect that we have more information sharing with you from these events that we will have. As you can see, we are a small country. We have a lot of opportunities to grow, and we need to know more from developed markets like you, and have more support from you, because the relationship that we have with Taiwan and with this our people, I think will be very helpful for everybody here in Paraguay, and primarily we will learn from you a lot. So I want to thank you very much for this opportunity, and I expect that this information is useful for you, and I am open to answer more and to share more information if you need as many times you want. Thank you very much.
谢谢巴拉圭电商公会的精彩分享。接下来，让我们欢迎巴西的大型电商代运商 Nova Trade。巴西是中南美洲第一大经济体，电商市场规模占整体拉丁国家电商市场超过30%，人口众多且网络使用率持续成长，已经成为拉丁美洲电商市场的领导者。Nova Trade 是巴西大型电商代运商，提供经物流串接、仓储、法规税务、电商行销等一站式跨境电商解决方案，能协助客户进行产品清关、进口许可证及巴西销售公司登记，直接解决客户初次进入巴西电商市场时尚未设立公司或没有代理及经销商等问题。海外企业能透过他们的电商服务系统整合金流付款与开立发票，并可上架至中南美洲重要电商平台，如 Mercado Libre 或 Amazon 巴西等，也可以协助客户进行数位行销。接下来，让我们欢迎 Nova Trade 的业务经理 Mr. Adu Orlando 为我们带来开创拉美跨境电商庞大商机。欢迎 Mr. Adu
Orlando。Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure for me to be with you during this presentation. My name is Arthur Orlando. I'm Brazilian. I work for Nova Trade as sales manager in Brazil, and I will be presenting to you a very brief overview of the Brazilian e-commerce to give you a brief idea what you can find in Brazil, some opportunities, and how Nova Trade is supporting the development of international companies in the country, okay? So I will give you just an overview about myself. I am, as I said before, Brazilian, and I worked for the last 11 years in Brazil to help international companies do business here in the country. Brazil is very known internationally as a very complex but field of huge opportunities. And it is my job to help those companies interested by the Brazilian market to develop their business here in the most smooth and easiest way for their business, okay? At Nova Trade, I am working mainly with very different sectors, but we work mainly with the industrial sector, healthcare, lifestyle, and infrastructure sometimes, okay? But we are very open to work with very different companies from almost every sector that we could imagine here at Nova Trade, okay? What is very, very important to understand about the e-commerce in Brazil? Brazilian market is huge, as almost everyone knows. We are talking about a country with more than 200 million people. So what you need to understand that e-commerce in Brazil is a fast-growing sector here. It is the growth of this development in Brazil is huge, especially after the pandemic years that we had faced some years ago. And we are always heading with countries like the United States, China, Japan. So we are talking about a country that people love to eat by using e-commerce platforms, okay? And why this? Because we live in a very big country. So those people, they need to have products, devices coming from all over the world, or even here from Brazil, but sometimes cities are very distant from the manufacturers, so or the stores. So we need to have some ways to buy products here locally in a very easy way. And here in Brazil, as Brazilians, we are a young people. We are totally used to deal with digital platforms, okay? And when we are talking about e-commerce in Brazil, what we need to understand that we are talking about a growing young and tech-savvy population, okay? Another, the access of internet is huge in Brazil, and almost every single Brazilian person has have a mobile phone in their hands. So it is very, very interesting to notice that in Brazil, people are very used to deal with digital platforms, digital apps. So for the Brazilian point of view, by using an e-commerce web stores or marketplaces is something that we are very used to do and very part of our daily routine. Most of those companies here in Brazil that sells better in Brazil, they are based in the United States, in Brazil, or in China. They are the biggest countries from where the sellers come from when we are talking about purchasing and proposing products for the Brazilian markets, okay? And when we are talking about e-commerce in Brazil, in terms of trend, we need to understand that here in Brazil, the omni-channel is something that is in the main trend here. And why this? Because Brazilians, we love to have a very good customer experience when we are buying. And sometimes we need to have the best customer experience. We need to have an integration between the physical stores, the facilities in the real world, and what we can find in the digital platforms, in the apps, in the marketplaces. So the omni-channel, when we are talking about e-commerce and selling and proposing products, is the main trend in Brazil. So I know that for sometimes it can be difficult to propose omni-channel solutions when we are an international company, but it's important to understand that Brazilians love to have an approach that considers the best customer experience. And this means integrate very good gateways of payments, gateways of transport, gates of exchange and return, for example, and customer service. Okay, this is very, very important when we are considering to sell goods in the Brazilian market. And of course, we need to understand who is this consumer, this Brazilian consumer. This, in average, the Brazilian consumer, more than half are women. They are a very big part of these consumers in the country. And most of these consumers, they are young. So, and used to deal with the experience of buying in distance using technology. And they are very demanding of technology when they are buying, and very good propositions of value. And they don't want to have problems when they are buying something. So we are talking about a very young people, but they expend a lot of money when they are buying on internet. Why this? Because those young people, they have credit cards and they use credit cards. And another aspect of the business here in Brazil, consumers are very used to practice what is called in English installment payment policy. So they can buy expensive things, but they will use their credit cards and pay in 2 parcels, 3 parcels. During 6 months, they will remain paying their purchasings, their buyings here in Brazil by using credit cards. So this consumer, they don't care about the price of the product only, but how they can pay for this product. And that's why it is very important to propose good solutions of payments and integrating your platforms and your proposition of value, different ways and methods of payments for this consumer, okay? And what are the best selling products in the Brazilian markets? As I was saying before, we are talking about young people. And these young people, they love to buy what? They love to buy fashion, clothes, sunglasses, phones, cosmetics, cell phones, products and devices, electronic devices. And they are also searching for products for their houses that they are building sometimes. So it is the main categories that take the attention of the Brazilian public, okay? And the revenues, of course. When we talk about revenues, we are talking about the biggest revenues that we can find when we are seeing the sellers, they are proposing electronics, okay? But what is important to understand is those electronics, they need to have a certification of some regulatory agencies. In Brazil, it's called Anatel, when we have the emission of radio frequencies, and these devices need to be certified by Anatel to be sold in the Brazilian market, okay? So when we are considering to ship to Brazil products to be sold in marketplaces, is very important to understand that you need to pass the step of certificate your product in the local market, okay? And here I have some explanations about what we can find here and why people buy those products. For example, notebooks, cell phones, books. For example, the case of books are very interesting because books, when we buy here in a store, in a traditional store, is very, very expensive. But by buying these books in the Amazon platform, for example, is much cheaper than buying in a traditional way, okay? And here, more items that are the best sellers that we can identify. And how can we identify the best sellers? When we see the calendar that we have during the year, the commercial calendar, and we have in Brazil many dates that you can consider when we are proposing products for the Brazilian market that are essential to boost your sellings here in Brazil, like Mother's Day, Christmas Day, Black Friday. It is very, very important to understand that you must to understand the Brazilian calendar and have strategies to promote your products during these specific dates and be able and ensure that you can deliver your products for the end consumers. Because in Brazil, we have some rules that guarantee the rights of the consumers. So it is very important to be present in the country, to have a local stock, and to guarantee that your delivery will respect the rules that we have in Brazil in terms of delivery time or the right to have the exchange and return guaranteed by the law, okay? So, and for example, I give you just an example, the case of the automotive sector. In Brazil, when we see Mercado Livre platform, and Mercado Livre, for those who don't know Mercado Livre is the biggest marketplace in the country, okay? So when we want to understand the trends in Brazil or to promote your products for a mass public, it is almost mandatory to be in the Mercado Livre. And to deliver and to sell on Mercado Livre, to have a page there. In the case of Mercado Livre do Brasil, you need to have a local subsidiary here or to count with good partners, importers that will be able to import your goods to the country, custom clear those goods, and sell on Mercado Livre those goods. And of course, pay the invoice, international invoice that we have open for this importation. But coming back to the automotive sector, what we can see is this is one of the biggest sector that have the best selling items in the local market. Almost every kind of accessory, tires, steering wheels, batteries, exhaust parts for tuning. These are things that in Brazil are a huge success, and you always have someone to buy this kind of products, okay? So I think that for automotive sector, propose products in the marketplaces on web stores is very, very interesting here, okay? And of course, when we are talking about e-commerce, we need to talk about the platforms able here in Brazil to promote your products and to be as the base of your website, web store. So here in Brazil, what are the most used platforms to promote e-commerce web stores? We can use, for example, WooCommerce, okay? And for every kind of platform, we can have advantage and disadvantage, but they are the most used here. So we have WooCommerce, okay? We have the most famous one maybe is Shopify, okay? They are very good to implement here in Brazil, a new web store dedicated for the Brazilian market. You can use Shopify in your web store. And we have one company that is called VTEX. VTEX, I used to call like the Ferrari of the platforms. It gives you a lot of tools to manage your web store, but the problem is you need to have a very good technical team to manage VTEX. But it is the platform that are the most used by the biggest brands in the whole world. So it is always a possibility to deal here in Brazil. But unfortunately, it is one of the most expensive platforms to promote an e-commerce platform. Okay, so you can choose and you can count with us to help you to create your platform for the Brazilian market if necessary. And what about NovaTrade? Okay, who is NovaTrade? What do we do and what do we propose for international companies? First, you need to understand some aspects of the Brazilian market that is very, very important. And the first thing that you need to keep in mind that it is that in Brazil, DDP Incoterm is not allowed. It's forbidden. And I know when we are shipping your goods for almost the whole world, you ship those goods in DDP Incoterm. But unfortunately, DDP is not allowed. Why? Because in Brazil, only Brazilian based companies are allowed to have import license that is called in Brazil radar. This import license is granted only for Brazilian companies, and only those Brazilian companies can custom clear those goods when they come to Brazil. And by consequence, the Incoterm DDP is not a possibility. So most of the exporters, when they export goods to Brazil, they use FOB or CIF Incoterms as Incoterms in their operation. And the importer are in charge of the custom clearance of those goods to pay import duties and to resell those goods in the country, okay? Another aspect to keep in mind is the drop shipping. Drop shipping in Brazil is allowed, there is no problem, but we had a system, a bureaucratic system that is not so easy and is complex, and sometimes the customer experience of this drop shipping experience is not good because buyers, they don't know the amount of money that they need to pay to receive those goods in their houses. So that's why I say to my clients that when they have a brand and they have to respect a very good customer experience, they need to avoid drop shipping and cross-border sales because it is better to establish a local stock in the country to guarantee that your customer will have and receive goods with the right pricing in the right time with the best customer experience. Okay, so be local. It is my recommendation. And at NovaTrade, we propose this kind of service, a one-stop shop solution that international companies can count on us to manage the importation process, to have the custom clearance in the country, to do the warehousing, the pick, pack, the labeling, and the last mile delivery here in the country, and of course, the tax and the invoice management. At NovaTrade, you can benefit of, for example, we will be in charge and legal responsible for the products, and we can certify all products when it is necessary, and we have a net of more than 20,000 pick points here in Brazil, and we have our own facilities to warehouse if necessary, or to use bonded warehouses, okay, when it makes sense. Here, there are some major market differentiators of NovaTrade comparing with another aspects of and strategies to penetrate the market, okay? We can do the whole steps necessary to implement a stock and a good customer experience for your clients. We have more than 500 projects in Brazil, okay? And with some of those companies, we have built their web store in the country. We provide the whole service of fulfillment and even the digital marketing. When we are talking about e-commerce, we need to always think about digital marketing and the best strategies to promote these products among the consumers. So you need to understand how your clients think, where they are, what are their profiles, what they want, what they are looking for. So when we have a very good marketing strategy in the country, we can achieve very good results here, but you always need to invest some amounts in digital marketing to support your operation, sales operation in the country, okay? So this is one of our recommendations when we are talking about Brazil. And we are always open to deal with you when necessary to discuss your project, to think about different strategies, and of course to be your local partner here in the country to support your operation and to boost your sales in South America. I would like to thank you so much, everyone, and have very good business here in Brazil. Bye bye.
谢谢 NovaTrade 的分享。据统计，在巴西庞大的电商市场中，有高达82%属于消费者的跨境购物商机。我们特别邀请巴西电商达人 Michelle Minchillo 来与我商分享巴西跨境电商秘诀。Michelle 是南美电商领域的专家，至今拥有超过15年的电商营运经验，也于巴西亚马逊担任国际招商经理。除了对进出口贸易相当了解外，也非常熟悉巴西消费者的习惯及喜好，曾协助许多海外企业进入巴西电商市场销售。紧接着，让我们欢迎巴西电商达人带来掌握巴西市场热销策略。我们欢迎 Miss Michelle Minchillo。Hi,
it's a pleasure to stay here with you today. My name is Michelle Minchillo. I'm from Brazil. I will talk about cross-border retail e-commerce in Brazil. I will bring some updates about Brazil rules, about main competitors, and the top categories that you can thinking about start to doing business with Brazil. Here is a little bit about quick introduction about myself. I'm a foreign trade professional with over 15 years of experience in cross-border business. I've been working in automotive, foods, e-commerce, and retail segments. I have a huge experience in trade compliance and operations in Brazil, and I also implemented the Grupo Netshoes and e-commerce trade compliance program with Brazil government. To start, I will bring an overview about foreign trade in Brazil. Last year, Brazil exported $334 billion and imported $272 billion with a growth of 24% year on year. This is very impressive, a very good trend for Brazil operations with a superávit of $61 billion. Here, I brought an overview about e-commerce in Brazil. In 2022, Brazil grew from 87 million to 108 million e-shoppers. It's a growth of 24% year on year. It's really impressive because 72% of those e-shoppers bought in cross-border e-commerces. About this market, I can say that 43% spent about $20 to $250. 61% are between 25 to 49 years old. 33% are between 50 to 64 years old. Mostly have a bachelor's degree, and they prefer to pay in credit card. The main motivations to Brazilian people buy abroad are mainly exclusive selection. So products that we don't have in Brazil, and we see in foreign countries. So this is the biggest motivation. Discounts and promotions. Black Friday is the best date to buy international stuff goods in Brazil. So starting from 11/11 and then finishing on Christmas, the peak season is a huge mark in Brazil. Free shipping, as international freight is very expensive for Brazilian people. If you can offer free shipping, it's a good attractive for us. Convenience. What I mean with convenience? Convenience, it's like go to your store and find everything I want in the same place with fast delivery. This is convenience for us. The quality. Quality is very important because returns to international marketplaces are very difficult in Brazil, and so quality is mandatory for Brazilian people. Speed delivery promises is very important too, and a localized experience. You need to offer detailed pages or manual in Portuguese, payment terms that Brazilians accept, and have a policy for returns and warranty in Brazil. Here I bought the main categories that Brazilian customers are looking for. Year on year, we had a small growth in apparel and accessories, but it's still the top category that we are buying abroad. We had a new player in Brazil, that is Shein, and then they are providing this huge selection for Brazilian. The second, with a small drop year on year, but it's still the second segment, is the electronics. So Brazilian people are looking so much electronics abroad. Home and decor, everything for kitchen, for home, they are looking for. Computer components is growing year on year too. So especially on gamer segment. Cosmetics and perfumes, toys and games, mobile, automotive accessories, office products, and home improvement. So here I brought some kinds of products that Brazilian people are buying abroad. When we talk about cross-border, we can highlight two main modalities: B2C cross-border and B2B2C. I will explain a little bit about both categories. B2C cross-border is basically selling goods or services online between business located in different countries, for customers located in different countries. So this means a company in Taiwan will deliver to a customer in Brazil. This kind of business increased a lot because the logistics and delivery experience improved as well. So Brazilian people are like trusting more on those companies. If you look at this graph, the evolution of the delivery speed is totally impressive. 2019, the delivery was 42 days, and now we have 20 days on average for delivery. So the main origins that are providing the selection for Brazilian are China and United States. So it's really incredible that a product can travel and arrive so fast in Brazil. Here we have a ranking of the top players in Brazil. This ranking is from 2021. I don't have the data updated, but probably the players will be the same this year, excluding Americanas.com. This first will move to moving the ranking, and you will see the Shein. That's a Chinese company that's providing apparel for Brazil. But the other companies is still in the ranking and it's still strong in Brazil doing cross-border e-commerce. Moving on to B2B2C business, it's basically a B2B transaction, a company to a company in Brazil, a company abroad to a company in Brazil, and then the company in Brazil will sell to the customer. This kind of business is growing a lot in Brazil because exclude the need of manufacturers to understand our market. That can be very complicated, our rules, etc. I don't have the data of all the companies that are importing products because the sourcing transactions are confidential, it's protected by government, but we know some mostly companies that are very popular in Brazil and are offering this selection. Highlighting retailers, we have Sam's Club and Carrefour that are focused on groceries, but they offer everything that you want. They have apparel, they have computer equipment, they have tires, they have everything that you want. Here, I can highlight Renner, that is an apparel retailer in Brazil. They have a huge selection of private brands specifically, but they also import perfumes, cosmetics, and other accessories too. Decathlon is a player, a retailer of sports, and they have everything. They have equipment, they have apparel, they also have e-commerce. So they are very relevant for international selection in Brazil. We have another category of importers that we call distributors or trading companies. Here I brought two main distributors that are doing sourcing abroad and bringing selection to Brazil and distributing to several retailers. And I brought here also some e-commerces, like Grupo Netshoes is for sports, Kabum and Terabyte we have for computer equipments and electronics. They are very popular in Brazil and people go to those e-commerces to find those products. I can't recommend a channel to start because it depends on your time to invest, to learn, to dive deep our rules. But here I have a very simple table of main trade-offs between both channels. I would say that B2B2C channel, it's easier for the manufacturer because the importer, the company located in Brazil, will care about all rules, legislation, customs clearance, warranty, returns, everything. And you don't need to think about this. Your margins can be higher on this model because you will sell like a full container for a Brazilian company and your costs will be lower. Consequently, the customers will have lower prices. It's very competitive. But there is a risk for inventory management for the company in Brazil. Because of that, sometimes the selection would be limited. In B2C, you can offer a wide selection. You can offer everything you want, your full catalog. But in B2B2C, the company in Brazil, you select some potential products to invest on. And finally, the final customer delivery experience. Of course, when we have the product in stock in Brazil, in inventory in Brazil, the speed will be better. So we will deliver faster than importing from Taiwan. And finally, I brought some tips for you to think about Brazilian rules. Brazil is a very strict country, and we have like a very peculiar foreign trade procedures. Our imported taxes, I can say, would impact your profitability or would impact the competitive of our products in our country. In B2C modality, the import taxes is 60% added of a state tax, additional state tax that can vary according where the customer is located. And when we talk about B2B, direct imports or indirect imports via trading company or a retailer in Brazil importing, they would pay from 0 to 35%, depends on the product. For example, apparels usually is 35% of taxes, and for PC components, sometimes we have 2%. So depends on the segment. However, we have other costs that for companies are lower, like freight. I can import a full container and my freight per unit will be lower than a product for B2C that arrives through courier, and the freight, international freight is higher. Customs clearance is something that you need to pay attention because all products in Brazil requires invoice, packing list, and documents for shipment. So ROA bill for our shipments or bill of lading for ocean shipments. So you need to fulfill all requirements of Brazilian, like including country of provenance, importer name, exporter name, description of the products, HS code. So you are responsible to declare everything correctly in your documents. If you don't do this, probably your products will be stuck at customs clearance and you'll pay fines and you have delays, or will be stuck several months there. So it's very important and be careful with that. Consumer protection. What I mean with this, we have rules in Brazil that protect the customer. So all the customers have 3 months of warranty, according to our law, to return a product with quality problems. So we need to have a support to those products in Brazil for returns, for changing the products, for refunds. You need to have this policy. It's mandatory. Payment processing. If you need to work with Brazil, you need to accept our credit cards, our international payment terms here. And finally, the language requirements. As I mentioned before, it's very important to have instructions, product descriptions, everything in Portuguese, because Brazilians don't speak English. It's not mandatory in Brazil, and we need to have in local language those descriptions, so it's important. And here a tip, it's good to, before starting business with Brazil, work with some partners, trading companies, someone that can ensure those compliance issues and avoid problems with you. But Brazil, it's growing a lot, and we really like imported products, and there is a huge opportunity to grow. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Feel free to reach me out. Thank you.
谢谢 Michelle 的分享。再来介绍秘鲁本土第一大电商平台 Falabella。秘鲁也是当前拉丁美洲经济增长最快速的国家之一。在2021年时，秘鲁电商规模增长率就已高达87%，预估2025年电商增长率将攀升至110%。同时，电商占零售市场的比重将从10%增加到20%。Falabella 是秘鲁第一大电商平台，起源于智利跨国零售集团 Group Falabella。因此 ，Falabella 的电商业务涵盖拉丁美洲多个国家，如智利、秘鲁、墨西哥等。Falabella 在秘鲁除了电商平台外，也拥有多家实体店面，协助企业进行线上及线下销售。接下来，让我们欢迎 Falabella 的产品经理 Mr. Manuel Jesus Samanes Obeso 为我们带来前进中南美新零售市场全攻略。
Hello, my name is Manuel Samanes. I am going to talk with you about the e-commerce in Peru. Here is a little presentation of me. I am currently the product manager at Falabella.com from Falabella Group. We are the #1 e-commerce in Peru. We have presence in Chile, Colombia that has recently launched, and we have plans of expansion in other countries where Falabella has presence as a group. I have previously, been product manager e-commerce at Linio, La Curazao, and Tiendas F. La Curazao and Tiendas F are one company are two brands of one company that it's a retail with specialization in electronic products. I have 8 years of experience in digital areas. I am a marketer from Universidad San Ignacio de Loyola, the San Ignacio de Loyola University, with a mention in integrate marketing communications. My specializations are in e-commerce and digital marketing. So in my whole experience, I have worked in different companies, always at the digital area, with a combination of commercial area and a digital area. That is, well, commercial sales, digital, some analytical things, talking about marketing especially. Well, I am going to tell you some data about the e-commerce in Peru. It grew 55% versus 2020, moving $9.3 billion, 41.8% of Peruvians, that it equals 13.9 million of people, of Peruvians, bought through e-commerce. More than 300,000 of online shops exist in Peru. 30% have a transactional website, a virtual shop, a mobile app, etc. 50% of the companies are selling through virtual channels and are from out of the capital. Before the pandemic, 12.5% of transactions with cards were through e-commerce. Currently, it is 40%, so it has grown very much. And 40 million of online buyers exist in Peru. It represents 70% in Lima and 30% in provinces out of the capital. So we have to see the two bullets, one up and one down from your right, because 50% of the companies out of the capital provinces exists as e-commerce, but it doesn't equal the million of buyers from this place, from these places, no? Because 70% of the online buyers are in Lima and 30 on provinces, not the 50% that exist as a company. So I think we have a lot of potential to grow in the provinces out of Lima, out of the capital. And at the middle, you can see some the growth of the e-commerce in Peru, the online sales in millions through the years. Okay, some other data of the e-commerce in Peru. Now talking about the categories, this is the first part, a comparison of 2020 versus 2021. The highest growing categories are department store with a growth of 72%, restaurant online consumption with a growth of 92%, supermarkets with a growth of 75%, and the sectors that have not recovered yet. This is a comparison of 2019 versus 2021. The accommodation that has a contraction of 4%, the travel tickets that has a contraction of 70%, and versus 2020 has a contraction of 75%. Tourism has a contraction of 20%, and entertainment has a contraction of 28%. These are categories that are having its recovery, but we have a lot more to continue grow with this second part of this slide. The first part, it has a continuing growth, so it's okay to be part of these categories, especially the department stores that also exist at online sector. Well, in this slide, I have put some data of the public investment in Latin America. This is to show you the potential of all of the digital apartments, of the digital investment, of course, in Latin America. Because of, you can see in these charts the growth of it, of public investment in Latin America. It expects for the next 2 years and a lower proportion in the following 2. Digital advertising is going to keep rising, and its share will constantly increase until getting 73.5% in 2026. A significant increment in e-commerce advertising is projected, 14.9% in US growth of 29% year over year, 40% in China, growth of 30% year over year, and 2.4% in Latam with a growth of 300% year over year. So this is some numbers to check of the public investment in Latin America, talking about the digital public spending, obviously. Well, this is a slide that shows you that I am talking about more about Falabella.com. Okay, Falabella.com, that is there. I work here at Falabella.com. Like I said at the beginning, Falabella.com is the #1 e-commerce and marketplace in Peru. It aims to potentiate any business in every stage of consumer buying process. Falabella.com is like an hybrid. It's like a retail online and also a marketplace. Why? Because the first name was because of the department store that has Falabella retail as a name. And then the website changed to be orange. Before it was green. And when it changed to be orange, why does it change? Because it started being a marketplace that has not only Falabella Retail as a top department store in Peru. It has also Totus, that is one of the best supermarkets in Peru. Sodimac, one of the best store with a category of home improvement, and Linio, that is one marketplace from the Falabella group. And being a marketplace allows Falabella.com to have thousands of entrepreneurs in Peru. So Falabella.com can make these entrepreneurs be seen with the Peruvian customers that maybe if they only have its website or its channels of sales, cannot have the amount of sales or the amount of visits or a so good conversion that has Falabella.com, and that is the difference and what we can give to these companies that want to sell online. Some numbers of Falabella.com: we have more than 6 million of clients, more than 500 categories. Talking about visits, we have 5 million of weekly visits, 29 million monthly. More than 30 stores exist of Falabella Retail, in this case, talking about Falabella Retail because of the name. But like I told you, Totus and Sodimac also are in Falabella.com. And the visits per user are in between 6 and 8 pages at the website, and also at the app, because we have the two sales channels. I want to tell you about the distributions of the home. I want to tell you some special spaces in the home. First, the showcases, banners, and novelties are the banners, the bigger banners that you can find entering Falabella.com in Peru, in Chile, in Colombia. The theme that has Falabella.com in the different countries. We have a place in the on-site where we show the remarkable brands that are the brands that are the biggest in Peru, and international brands in all the world. The biggest are shown here. Some of these spaces can be afforded if the brand wants to invest to be in these spaces, but if it's not, it's an organic way to perform or to have more visits of these brands in our on-site or our home. And we have a bottom that it's very transactional, because we only show there for 24 hours some products that has a very special price only for one day. So it's a very transactional space in the home, and for you to know, we constantly see the numbers, the sales of this space. The visits and conversion are important, but in this case, especially the sales in this space, because we can sell thousands of the product that can be in this banner, in this bottom of the home. Okay. Talking about the events in the calendar in Peru, that you can see some things in common with other countries in Latin America, or also at in other parts of the world. In January, the most important events are summer, holidays, all the events that we focus on, and hot sale. Hot sale for us, for Falabella.com, is the most important event after cyber. It's similar, but it hasn't the big sales that give us the cyber, because it's across the country. And like I said some slides before, we have a lot of categories here at Falabella.com, so we can focus in the ones that are more adapted to summer, for example, to holidays. Next month in February, what is the most important event here? The Valentine's Day, that is the 14th of February 14. Back to school also for all the computing categories, tablets, mobile computing, desk computing, the accessories. It has a lot of potential. The first month of the year are the best for computing because of back to school, that the students here at schools, at university, initiates its studies in the month of March. What is also happening at March, the Women's Day and Cyber Days. That is the most important event that happens in Peru, like I said before. In April, we have the Cyber Wow. What happens here? That Cyber Wow and Cyber Days are two types of cyber. Cyber Days that is hosted by the Cámara de Comercio de Lima, and Cyber Wow that it is from the IAP Institute. The one that it's it has a proportion of 3-to-1 or 4-to-1 more or less. Cyber Wow versus Cyber Days. Cyber Wow is bigger than Cyber Days. The two are obviously the most important events, but Cyber Wow, it's more big. It's bigger than Cyber Days. In May, we have the Mother's Day, the Workers' Day. In June, the Father's Day, and winter, that is happening in that month here in Peru. In July, we have the national holidays, 28th of July, and the days after that. Cyber Wow also at July. At August, we have the Children's Day, anniversary of Falabella.com. At September, here it is spring, so we move the on-site with the categories that we want to show more and in our communications. One thing that I can tell you about our communications is that we use a lot of a mix of omni-channel communications, because we not only use the digital, our digital marketing area, not only use these digital channels. Also, we appear on TV, we appear on the radio and on other places, on public places, out with in the streets, in panels. We use very different channels to be an omni-channel brand, to have this kind of branding, because we also have the Falabella Retail, Totus, and Sodimac that are has their physical store. So we need to be at both parts and show them in both parts, obviously. In October, we have the Cyber Wow and Halloween, that is the 31 of October. And November, we have the Cyber Days and Black Friday. Black Friday is a good event here, but it's not so good, not as good as Cyber Days of Cyber Wow. Maybe in other countries, I know that the Black Friday is a very top event. Here, more or less, not so big than cyber, for example. as a cyber, for example. And in December, we have the events of Christmas and Gratitude Days. What is Gratitude Days? Why do we use this name? Because in July and in December, Peruvians receive 2 salaries. That obviously the expense of these salaries permits to the customer to spend more. So this happens in this month. We have a growth of sales because of the Gratitude Days, because of the people that have 2 salaries, like I was telling you, know. So that are the principal, the most important events that happens in Peru through the year. And we are finishing the presentation. Thank you. You can contact me with my personal email, manuelsamanes@gmail.com, and I will happily get in touch with you. Thank you.
谢谢法拉贝拉的分享，感谢各位参与今天的拉美跨境电商说明会暨洽谈会。说明会在此告一段落，欢迎大家扫描荧幕上的 QR code 填写今天的活动问卷。非常感谢各位企业先进的参与，在此也提醒有安排到视讯洽谈的厂商们，请依据 email 的通知信上面的洽谈时间及视讯连结，准时上线与平台商业者进行洽谈。也提醒务必提前上线测试麦克风及视讯镜头状态，以利洽谈顺利进行。再次谢谢大家今天的收看，祝各位今日收获满满，生意兴隆，拜拜，ciao。